Darcy's a nervous wreck right now. His car is running good, but very close together on the track.
Well, they can block the track right now if they wanted to.
Oh,
I'm telling you. Oh, hang on, Jeff Burton.
Burton up into Hornish.
Oh, he's gonna come back up
and now the big one.
There it is.
7, 8, 9 cars involved, many which were running inside the top 10.
That's the whole field, isn't it?
That's the whole field.
And look at that. Nowhere to go.
And these guys were trying to avoid the two coming back up on the racetrack, and the first group that saw them check up, and everybody runs in behind them. That is massive right there. That's incredible. I don't think I've seen a wreck like that at Daytona.
That's a long time since I've seen that many cars in a wreck.
There was a Busch race or a nationwide race down here in turns 3 and 4, and they piled up about 30 of them down there one time. These cars, that was wicked.
Mark Martin got a piece of the action. You see Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Saw Reed Sorensen driving through.
Wow.
And like Kyle said, watch the 2-car. Everybody's expecting the 2-car to come back up the racetrack because that's what happens. When you get in the grass, you're coming back. He just goes diving down here after he gets clobbered by the 31. On the 83, okay, this started already behind, but the 83 got turned.
But they see that going on in front of them, and they're all jockeying for position to avoid that. And it's that chain reaction accident. You know what I mean? Look at the cars, man.
There's a lot of cars in that accident.
Menard did a great job. He got up on the high side and kind of got around them. But these guys,
all these cars have damage here.
You see the first group when you don't pay attention to what the 2 cars doing. Watch everybody behind them because this is where the wreck.
Well, see what happened. The 83 checked up, the 12 checked up, and it looked like Montoya got into the back of somebody. And but there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's just like you said, it's a chain reaction. There's a 5-car came in on fire.
That was
see Mark climbing out right there.
You see some of his crew members running over to help the Lowe's guys come over and get him out. That's pretty cool right there, man. Mark was already piling out. You can see he's unhooked.
And the safety crews were actually coming from the garage area to help extinguish the fire. It's been a rough night for Mark Martin. So one more time we look at the accident that happened with 12 to go.
Yeah, the 12 and it looked like I don't know how they got together, but the 83 and the 12 were at the front of that pack. And look at these guys. They're packed in there. Montoya's headed backwards, and you can't see. I mean, they kind of slide out of the way, but they're 4 deep and packed on top of each other, and they're still coming in behind them. You see the 12, you see the 42, you see these guys.
And there's just nowhere to go. I mean, there's no openings on the racetrack whatsoever.
Nowhere to go. And you can't imagine sitting at home driving into that at 170 or 80 miles an hour, getting up to speed, but driving into that and not being able to know left or right. And the spotters are way over here. They can't see. They can't tell you where to go either.
This is Jeff Burton.
Still outside. 2 pushing you now. Middle of 3. 3. Clear low. Got another wreck. You're clear. Watch him.
Gordon gets through that?
Come on.
You know who else drove through the outside, and I'm not sure he got any of it? Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He's going to push 31. Inside. You're clear. You're about wrecked 31. Drove underneath. Big wreck behind you. Checking out.
Wow. Montoya, one of the drivers involved in the accident, under the red flag with 12 laps to go.
We can, you see they've stopped on the backstretch here.
Let's hear from Montoya, Marty.
And boy, they were in position to maybe do some good things there. That was crazy, wasn't it? What happened from your vantage point?
They just started piling up in front of me. I tried to go let down, and I just clipped in with the right front corner, and there's nothing you can do. It's just one of those deals. You know, again, this Irish Chevy has been off season. It's been amazing. You know, the team have done a really good job, and just that's the story of our year.
They were in a good position there to maybe make a run to the front. Had a good car, but obviously sitting here on pit road now under the red flag with a whole lot of damage, Adam.
There you saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the inside sneak through. Maybe got a little bit of damage. And now we ride with Joey Logano. Now Ryan Newman riding on top of his hood there.
Well, you can just hear that. You know, it's just dragging parts and pieces.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's just terrible, man. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Well, Larry and Lindsay, now we've got something to talk about, huh?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I mean, Larry, we're sitting here watching replays of this wreck, and bottom line, there's nothing, as Juan Pablo said, that you could do to avoid getting that pileup.
Well, the biggest thing that I'm seeing right here, Lindsay, and I've been doing a little calculating, and we knew this was going to be a wild card in this race to the chase. I'm looking right now, about half of our top 12, they've been involved in wrecks tonight, including this big one, and a lot of those guys outside the top 12, like Joey Logano, like McMurray, like Truex, a lot of those guys, they were either involved in that wreck or wreck earlier. So this is really going to shake these points up with 8 races to go.
Well, it is, and as you had said before, it looked like there were so many guys that had opportunities possibly to get a win that had not won before here at Daytona.
Well, and I saw a lot of guys up there like Reed Sorensen still looking for their very first Sprint Cup Series win, period. So, yeah, there was a lot of things going on in the top 10 or 12, but a lot of it just got wiped out.
One of the drivers that was involved in that big wreck was Ryan Newman, who's standing by now with Ralph Shaheen.
Yeah, we're walking with Ryan. Ryan, can you tell us what happened from your vantage point?
I saw the 12 and the 83 sideways in front of me, and I couldn't tell you what else happened. I just know I got pile drived. I saw the 48 sideways and myself sideways and up on 2 wheels. Just right place, wrong time like usual for me.
Tough night.
Ralph Shaheen there with Ryan Newman. Obviously, Ryan kind enough to stop and talk, but a lot of these guys just very, very frustrated right now. I mean, take a look at how many were involved.
24.
Yeah, this is looking out the back of Ryan Newman's car back at Joey Logano, and you see people started slowing down, but this is a product right after a restart, Lindsay, of cars running 3 wide down the back straightaway. Cars in front of them check up, the guys behind them, and they just start stacking up from there, and that's what causes the big one.
At that point, as a spotter, what's going through your mind?
You know what? A spotter's almost helpless. You know, you can hear all these spotters saying, slow down, slow down, slow down, go high, go low, but you know what? It's like there's 30 cars there running in a big pack. The driver actually has a much better view than the spotter has.
And a lot of onus on them for sure. So right now, as we look at where these guys are going to fall back, we see Boyer still apparently in the lead.
Well, yeah, I still like those Richard Childress cars up there. You know, you've got, of course, Jeff Burton that was just involved in that accident. Actually, the start of that accident, but Clint Boyer looks awfully good. And remember, Boyer was one of those guys I was talking about early in the race that kind of stayed just outside the top 20. I think he wanted to let the waters kind of calm out. We always know the waters get uncalm at the end of the race, but there he is. Seems like he's got one of the stronger race cars.
And it turns out to be that, like you said, him and his Childress teammate right behind him, Kevin Harvick, we heard them talking about communication and how to get involved with drafting so that it could help them in the future in this race as we get back.
And I'm sure as we're sitting under this red flag, Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick are talking to each other right now on those radios.
Yes, most likely. Guys?
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Larry. Larry talked about the implication in regard to points. Clint Boyer, the big gainer, as they sit right now. He has moved up 4 positions to 11th. He is now inside the chase. That's a big break for him. And we also got a report that Tony Stewart was released from the infield care center. And now you can see on a hot night in July, the driver's getting a little refreshment. Here's a look at the Mark Martin situation coming down pit road.
And you know, when they had the wreck, Mark had spun and was down on the apron, and we had a shot earlier where he was trying to get it fired up and get going. He drove the thing, and about the time he got to pit road, this thing flamed up. It was not on fire when he left the accident scene, but as he drove around here, the sparks coming up, the oil, the stuff, it just up under the car, and you can see it, man. That's a thick smoke. That's a choking smoke right there. When you're in a car and a car catches on fire, and it's hard to describe, there's some smoke you can just, it seems okay to you. I don't know how to describe that to anybody out there. But there's some of that electrical stuff and some of the oil that starts to burn, and it chokes you, man. I mean, it is hard to breathe in that thing.
Now gotten reports Regan Smith and Jimmy Johnson has walked from the infield care center, and now we hear from Mark Martin with Ralph Shaheen.
Mark, an amazing end to your night there. Tell me about the fire in the car. You okay?
Nah, fire was outside. It wasn't inside, so no big deal. It's a disappointment to be in a wreck as hard as we fought and as hard as we worked. You know, my guys did an awesome job of battling, you know, through things, and it's just, I wish we hadn't been in that wreck. I wish we could have. There was no way. I couldn't see anything, and I couldn't get down. My spotter said get down. Well, I was going too fast. There wasn't no getting down.
Mark, we're glad to see you're okay. I know I'm running.
That was good, and that was good information. Just like, you know, Larry said it, we set it up here. Spotter's not going to help you right there. You know what I mean? A spotter can't help you when there's that much smoke. And you got to figure, the spotters are just above us in the booth right here. As you see the wrecks start to happen, spotters are just above us in the booth. That's a half a mile over the turn 3. You know, and you're trying to depend on the spotter. The 2 and the 31 gets together. The 31 slams into the 77, which does a great job, but it sends the 2 right back down across the racetrack. I still see Jimmy Johnson coming straight up the racetrack up.
Jimmy Johnson, one of the drivers involved, Ralph.
Yeah, Jimmy was caught up in it as well. All right, pal, your thoughts on what happened out there?
You really can't see much from the cars. I saw the 2 down on the flat, and then I was hit from behind, and everybody's trying to slow down and just kind of caught up in things. But and we came close. I mean, 380-something miles of not having a big one, and then we always seem to have that big one at the end.
Was this just tight racing, or was this somebody being a little bit aggressive, maybe a little bit too early?
I couldn't really tell from where I'm at. I would just be speculating, but the energy inside the draft changes as the laps wind down, and we all know that every move you make could be worth 5 or 10 points on the track and a position. So you can sense it. We knew it was coming. You could feel it building, and sure enough, it happened.
It'll be very interesting to see when the cars begin to roll, Wally, how much damage for Jeff Burton, who was very strong and racing for the lead and was a part of the start of this accident, and Kurt Busch, how much damage they received, because it's obvious they're big-time players, but
well, you got to throw Jeff Gordon in there and even Earnhardt, because when you drive those race cars off the bank onto the apron, you know, it doesn't take much to mess up the bodywork on these cars, and those guys did a great job staying out of the wreck. I just don't know how hard they hit the apron coming off the banking.
a number of different angles from our crews here tonight. This one on board with Kevin Harvick.
Who's going to push 31? Inside, you're clear, clear. You're about wrecked 31. You're underneath, big wreck behind you, big wreck behind you. Back out, there's about half the field right there. 77 smoking, it got the...
That's a good call. That's about half the field. That's about 2/3 of the field. And wait a minute. It's 12:10, so that's the official first fireworks of the 4th of July right here for us.
And I've got a feeling, with 12 laps to go, there may be more in the offing.
Man. There may be more.
So there are the cars sitting on the track, some of which were involved in what was our 8th caution of the night and now has turned into a red flag, and some who are anxious to get going again. Jeff Burton had a little contact. How concerned are they, Marty?
Well, if this means anything, Jeff came on the radio and said, guys, we can still win this race. Do not think that we are out of this race at this time. And what's going on with all the drivers on the backstretch, you see them all back there. They're all kind of talking to each other through their spotters, and they'll ask, you know, Robbie Gordon asked a moment ago, can you look at my front fender? Can the other guys, can you look at my left front? They ask each other how their cars are, so that's how they evaluate the damage. The closest look is a driver beside you, and sometimes can be your best friend as well, Phil.
Yeah, Marty, we saw the contact between the 31 of Jeff Burton and the 77 of Sam Hornish Jr. Sam actually had some flat tires, so he came directly to pit road, went ahead and changed his tires. You see, he's already left pit road. He's on the end of pit road when the red flag came out. He did pit before pit road was open. He will have to go back to the back of the field for the restart, but as crew chief Travis Kajlo said, we pulled the fenders out. You have 4 new tires. You are good to go to the end. And obviously, with so few cars on the racetrack, going to the tail end of the longest line is not going to be that big a deal.
See all those drivers sitting on pit road and the crews not working on the race cars. In NASCAR competition, when the red flag comes out, you cannot work on your car. You can do a lot of evaluating. You can get parts and pieces ready to repair the car once the red flag is lifted. But under red, you cannot work on your race car. You see the shakeup in the points. We're going to step aside. Under a red flag, 12 laps to go in the Coke 0 400.